When the grid goes down, will you beat the heat, or will the heat beat you? Hey guys, it's Jara with Wicked Prepared. Thank you for stopping by the channel today, and if it's your first time, don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any upcoming content. The preparedness challenge that I'm taking on today is extreme heat, and more specifically, how to deal with extreme heat in the event of a grid down power outage. You may have seen maps like this one, detailing areas of the country which are either at elevated risk or high risk of grid failures this summer. Now, we are located way up here in this northeast corner, so we do not have any elevated risk of grid failures. However, if I've learned one thing over the last few years, it's to expect the unexpected, number one. And if you wait until you see it coming, then you're too late, and you're caught up in the panic, and everything you need is probably already gone. That's really the whole essence of preparedness, isn't it? Secondly, I've learned that the best way to ensure something will happen to you is to say, that couldn't happen to me. And lastly, I know we have viewers from all over the country and all over the world, and there are plenty of you out there who may have to deal with this. So what I'm going to do is talk about some things you can get and some things that you can do to help keep cool in the event of a grid down during extreme heat. And I'll also show you a few kits I've put together for us. I've got a couple of personal heat relief kits here and a kind of extreme heat emergency first aid kit that I've put together. Because heat can be more than just an uncomfortable annoyance. It can actually be a killer. In fact, heat-related illnesses are the leading cause of weather-related deaths in the U.S., causing anywhere from 700 to 1,500 deaths per year. And the statistics are steadily rising along with the temperatures. So being prepared with some defenses and knowing what to do is very important. Now, of course, in any type of grid down or power outage, the first and most desirable defense would be a generator of some sort. Having a generator can allow you to run fans and maybe even keep your air conditioning running. A generator could allow you to keep your fridge and freezer running and to keep some items in them that can be used for cooling. However, capable generators are a pretty large expense, and not everyone can or does have one, depending on their living situation and their budget. So I'm going to come into this with the assumption that we don't have a generator. If you do, then that's great. You are one step ahead, but you should still always have a backup plan just in case. Your generator fails, your fuel runs out, your solar system can't get a charge for one reason or another. Backups and backups for your backups is the name of this game. In extreme heat, heat stroke and dehydration are the two biggest dangers. So before I even get started, let me stress the importance of having a good supply of emergency water. I just did a whole video on emergency water, so if you feel like your emergency water plan is lacking or needs a checkup, then make sure to check that out. I'll link it down in the description box below. But absolutely make sure you have plenty of water stored in your home. Not only clean water for drinking, but those additional sources of water that we keep for hygiene purposes. Those can be used for cooling, and you won't want to waste your precious drinking water for this. One thing that's important to have for any type of grid down is some sort of battery backup for your cell phone. If the cell phone and data towers are still functioning, this could allow you to find resources and call for help if you needed it. Many areas will have cooling centers run by the state CDC or emergency management agency during a heat emergency. Having a functioning cell phone could allow you to locate such a center. Calling 211 is a service available in every state to connect anyone to community resources such as this. Besides phone backup, the first thing that we always keep on hand for these situations, and we have several of these, is battery-operated fans, and plenty of the batteries to go with them. Now, these fans have actually been one of the most popular items that we've ever shown on the channel. It's a pretty good size fan, and it does have a stand which folds out, and that is where the batteries go. And it has a low and a high power setting. That's the high power, and then low power. And these work really well. We've had these for a few years. I keep a couple of these in our blackout box. If you haven't checked that video out, make sure you check that out after you're done with this one. Now, these take 6D batteries. I have marked it here on the top so that I always know if I'm in a hurry to go buy batteries. I don't have to open it up and see what it would take if I can't remember. Now, these fans also do have electrical adapters. So if you do have a generator or backup power supply of some sort, you can still use these and save your batteries. Fans are important for two reasons. They're obviously great for moving air around, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But your biggest defense when it comes to beating the heat without power is going to be evaporative cooling. Now, this is just the basic idea that as water evaporates, it cools, and it's the same reason that your body sweats. But we can harness this and take it to another level. Now, I'm going to tell you something that I used to do. I really did this, and I would do it again because it works. Now, being in Maine, we don't have much extreme heat, so most homes don't have central air like other parts of the country. Nowadays, most homes have window units, but I was well into adulthood before I ever lived in a home with any kind of air conditioning. So what I used to do if we were having a heat wave is I would take the outfit that I was going to wear that day and put it through a rinse and spin cycle on my washing machine. Take it out damp and put it right on. And that would keep me cool for usually a couple of hours until the outfit was dry. And that was using that concept of evaporative cooling. Now, you could do this if you were in a grid down and you needed to keep cool. You obviously wouldn't be able to put it through your electric washing machine, but you could wet your outfit in a bucket or a bowl of water and just wring it out by hand. You could put it in a salad spinner to wring it out, or you could even just use a good old spray bottle and spritz it with water until it's damp. Another thing that you can do is use cooling towels. Now, these come in a few different sizes, different fabrics. You can get them at lots of different places. They're available at Walmart, on Amazon. Sometimes they even have small ones at Dollar Tree. Now, one thing I will say about the cooling towels is that we've tried several different types of them. Mr. Wicked Prepared does use these a lot when he's working outside in the garden in the heat. And I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this type right here, this is sort of like an almost rubbery feeling chamois type of fabric, and it almost feels damp. And this is the kind that we really like. I've seen a lot like this. They're all over Amazon. They usually come in a little pouch and a little multi-pack. This is sort of a very light, slippery feeling fabric. It's different than the other one. And we did not care for this type. They just don't hold the water long enough to actually cool you for very long. They dry very quickly and the water sort of migrates through them. Mr. Wicked Prepared said when he had it around his neck, the back was dry and there was just a little water dripping off the bottom down here. And it really didn't work as well as the other type. So I'll definitely link down in the description box the kind that we prefer rather than these. Now, another thing that I'll say about the cooling towels is that if you don't have some and you don't want to go spend the money on them, you don't necessarily need them. Even just a regular towel or washcloth, a hand towel or a washcloth from your bathroom will work. I have done that before. Just use those. I took a walk through the Dollar Tree and I found all of these things there that I tested out, and they all seem like they would work pretty well. These were from the car care section. Microfiber cloth, this handy chamois. This is another microfiber cleaning towel. These are utility towels that are cotton, I believe. And then this was from the bathroom section. This is just a hand towel, a plain 100% cotton hand towel. And these would all work perfectly well. So what you would do is you would just wet your cooling towel or your cloth or whatever you have, and you could put it around the back of your neck. You could put it over your forehead. You can put them on your abdomen, any area like that, and then aim a fan on yourself if you can. Now, I showed you those larger battery operated fans that we have, and I just recently found this, which is the same idea. It's just smaller, and it takes, this one takes AA batteries. It has a high, medium, and low, and it has a little stand that folds. Also, you can hang it. It also has a plug, a USB plug that it can use, so that's another option. Having plenty of battery-operated fans to use will really help with that evaporative cooling. Another thing you can use the fans for is obviously moving air around, but if you do this strategically, it can help to cool your home. Now, you want to make sure that you know the temperatures inside and outside, so have some simple thermometers. And if it's cooler inside your home than it is outside your home, you want to keep your home closed up. Doors closed, windows closed, blinds, drapes over the windows if you can, especially the energy blocking type would be really good. And try to keep as much of the cool air inside as you can. And during this time, the hot time of day, if you can use something outside of your home to help block the sun on the south facing windows, any place you have sun coming in, you can get tarps that have a light or reflective coating on one side, and you can use those to create awnings over your windows. If you look at homes in places where it's a lot hotter, they tend to have awnings and covered porches and things that block sunlight from coming through those windows. Later in the evening, if it cools outside and the air is cooler outside than it is inside, that's when you want to open up the windows and doors if you can. You can take those fans, place the fans in the window and aim them in, and you're blowing that cooler air into the house and moving air. Make sure that you have windows open on opposite sides of the rooms if you can, to get a cross breeze going through and to clear that warmer air out of the house. Another thing that some people do is hang a damp towel in the doorways, and that's another way to use evaporative cooling. I've never tried this myself, but I have heard that it works. Hang the damp towel in the doorway, and as the breeze blows through, it will cool the air. Now, I did put together some individual personal cooling kits for each member of our family, and I'll show you what's inside those. This is the first one that I did. So you'll probably recognize these bags. I've used these bags a lot before in a lot of different kits. I had to buy some new ones, and this time they came with these little pockets for labels, and they came with the labels, and I was actually really excited about that, but I didn't realize they had it when I ordered them. So what this one has inside is, it has some of the cooling towels. Now this is a few of various different sizes, and I did put these in a Ziploc because when you get this type that we like, they always come in these little tubes, and it says to keep them in the tube. So I really think that when you open them, they feel almost damp, even though they really aren't. And I think that they should be kept airtight. So in the interest of saving space, I did pack them into a Ziploc. But this is several different cooling towels of different sizes. And then we have a fan, a misting fan. It has, this is going to provide the evaporative cooling on a personal level. Now there's several different options for these type of fans. This one is pretty simple. You can find these at Walmart, Amazon, just about anywhere. They take batteries and you just fill them up with water, and they're pretty simple. Another option would be one of these. Now I actually really like this. I didn't know what to think when I first ordered it. This one is rechargeable. Now it can fold, so it can be pretty compact. It has a button. Now if you hold the button down for, I think it's 3 seconds, it starts this really fine mist. And then of course, if you just push the button once, you get the low, medium, and high fan speed. And then you can combine that with the mist. And that really does provide quite a bit of cooling. The water is held in this reservoir right here. It actually comes with a little bottle, which is for filling the reservoir. So it doesn't hold a ton of water, but it's actually also not putting out a ton of water. That's a very fine mist, which is good because it's not going to make you dripping wet. It's just going to really just be enough to cool. It's going to instantly evaporate and cool. It also comes with the charging cord, of course. And this is one of the downfalls, in my opinion, because if you've watched me long enough, you know that I really do prefer things with batteries over things that charge when it comes to emergency preparedness. I know a lot of people don't have the same hang up, but I just feel like I can store a lot of batteries and just have them with, I don't store them in the items. I usually store them with the items. I use cases like this to store the batteries separately so that they don't get deplenished. I just feel like I don't want to be worried about making sure that all of these chargeable items are charged up and ready when there is an emergency, and I don't want to be worried about being able to recharge them all. I'd rather store a lot of batteries, but I'm definitely going to keep this fan and use this for a lot of things because I really like it. It also came with this stand, and this is another downfall for me. It's to allow it to stand easily on a table, and that's really a great feature. I just don't like that this is a separate piece. I wish that this piece was built in, because to me this is just a piece that I'm probably going to lose. But I do like this fan, so either one of these would be good options for a little kit like this. Of course, another option, if you're on a budget and you don't want to spend, although neither one of those was terribly expensive, the rechargeable one was more expensive than the battery operated one, but if you're trying to stay on a budget, I went to Dollar Tree. This is a little fan that takes batteries, and this is a spray bottle. It would basically do the same job as those fans for a little bit less money. So the next thing that I have inside the kit is a bag that contains electrolyte powders, because we know that dehydration is a big risk when it's really hot out, and it's not only water that you need, but you need to replenish the electrolytes and the minerals that are being sweat out when you're sweating. So any kind of electrolyte powder that you prefer. I have Drip Drops and Ultima brand in here. I also like to use Liquid IV, but see what I mean? It has these really great little spots that you can label them. I just turned the label around. It has a spot for name and all these other things. I just turned it around and wrote on the blank side. So this has electrolytes in it. And then there is a bottle of water in there. Now this really is a placeholder. You're not going to be able to store the amount of water you really need in any kind of kit like this, but that's why I'm stressing it's so important to have enough water stored in your emergency plan. But this is one bottle to get this one person started or get them by. In an emergency, it would certainly keep them from becoming dehydrated. They could put an electrolyte powder in here. They could use this to fill their fan. They could use it to dampen their cooling towels. But really you need more than one bottle of water per person. I just have one bottle in this kit. And then the last item in this kit is a little cooling patch for the forehead. Now these came in a box like this, and the picture shows a little baby with it on his forehead, and it makes it look really small, but you can tell the size of this patch. This patch is filling this whole package. So it's actually much bigger than it looks, because I did shop around and try to find the best deal on these patches, and I was concerned about this one being smaller than the rest, but I read the measurements and it was just the same size as all the rest of them. So that is everything I've included in each of these kits. So after I did those kits, I decided I'd like to do a little mini version. Now these would be great for each family member to keep in the car. You could put these in bug out bags. Kids could take these to camp. Any place that you're going to be away from home and maybe need a smaller, more portable version. Because you never know when you might get stranded in your car on a hot day and the car breaks down and you don't have the air conditioning. Anything could happen. So what's inside this kit is, this is a packet with electrolyte powder like the other one, but this also has some towel tablets in it, because if you're out and about and you needed something to soak with water, if you've ever seen these towel tablets, they're pretty amazing. They look like a little pill, and you just put them in water and they grow into sort of a large, very strong sort of paper towel baby wipe type of thing. These would work for wiping yourself and cooling yourself, or for using as an impromptu cooling towel. So it has these, they're individually wrapped. I have several of those in there, and the packets of electrolyte powder like I mentioned before. Then of course I have the mini size cooling towels. These are the same fabric as the ones that we really like, but they're just a smaller version. So they're really great just for putting around the back of your neck or something. These are great to keep cool. I do have another misting fan. Now there's a couple of different options for this. I had both of these that I'm trying, and they both work similarly. They both take batteries, turn on, spray. This is pretty much the same. So whichever type you prefer, you could use in your kit. Now I think I kind of prefer this one a little bit more. It just seems, these blades are made of foam, and keeping them in a packet like this, they could get damaged. This one just seems like it's going to fit a little bit better, and I feel like it has a stronger breeze that it blows with the fan, but either one of these would work. And then I also have the cooling patch again. And then this is just a packet of emergency water. Now I'm usually not too into these packets of water. I've never really gotten these before, but I was looking at these for some other things. I do like that they are small, and these are, you don't have to worry about, you know, these getting hot and cold in a vehicle. They're a little bit more puncture resistant than your typical water bottle, and they're shelf stable for 5 years. I wouldn't want to be drinking a plain old water bottle that I had left in my kit for 5 years, but I feel like these I can sort of put in and forget about it. But like I said, this is just sort of dire emergency water to get you started, placeholder. You need a lot more water than this in a heat emergency, but this is a good start. This is a little over 4 ounces, so it's about half a cup in each one of these pouches, and I just put one pouch inside of each of these kits. So that is what's in my mini kits. So the final kit that I put together is more of a general big family first aid kit for heat emergencies. I do like to separate different elements of my first aid kits, because we have a lot of stuff that we keep, and I'd rather be able to just grab just what I need. If somebody has a scrape or a cut, I want to grab just what I need to treat that. I don't want to be digging through all sorts of different things. So this is a kit that's going to have just the items that we would want and need in a heat emergency. If someone had heat exhaustion, heat stroke, anything like that. So this is my kit. Now I have not labeled it yet. I'm not certain what I'm going to put on here and how I'm going to put it on here. But this is actually a tackle box, and I thought this was pretty cool. It actually held everything I wanted to include perfectly. Opens up like this, and it has these dividers. This slides up and down. It has several spots for dividers, but I only used one of them. I had some smaller items and some bulkier items. So in the front here, the smaller items that I've included, I put a whole box of these cooling patches. I also put this package of single-use disposable thermometers. This was something really cool that I just discovered, and I am going to probably buy a lot more of these, because these would be great for lots of different first aid kits in my car, you know, a lot of different ones. If you do scouts or anything where you have a lot of different children, This is one-time use, throw them away. They got pretty good reviews. With heat stroke, one of the signs of heat stroke is usually having a really high body temperature over 103 degrees, so it can be useful to be able to tell somebody's temperature. Then I also have another pack with electrolytes. This just has a lot more of the electrolyte packets than the other ones did, because this is sort of a multi-use kit. Those were for one person. These are for multiple people. So then I do have a couple more packages of various cooling towels of various sizes. Once again, I put them in Ziplocs to get them out of their tubes, but keep them airtight so that I could have quite a few in here. I wouldn't have fit nearly as many if I kept them in their tubes. And then in this back section, I've got, these are a couple of instant ice wrap. This is supposed to be cooling. This can be wrapped around someone's limbs, whether they're injured or they're just swelling. These are supposed to cool and stay cool for a while. I haven't opened them up and tried them, although they are supposed to be reusable, I believe. Yeah, it says reusable. So I put a couple of these in here. And then I also included several of these instant cold packs, these instant cold compresses. Now in a professional medical setting, if they're treating heat stroke, what they will often do is use ice packs or an ice bath, but they can use ice packs under the arms, in the groin, sometimes the hands and wrists, places like that, that they can bring the body temperature down quickly. Because with heat stroke, your body has overheated and it's lost its natural ability to cool itself. So I was wondering what you would do for heat stroke if you didn't have electricity and you may not have access to ice packs. So I was wondering if these cold compresses, these instant cold packs would work. And I was looking and trying to find anything that would tell me if they would work. And I really didn't find anything. But as I was looking around on Amazon, I did find a couple of ready-made first aid kits that were geared towards heat stroke and heat exhaustion and that kind of thing. And they all included these instant cold packs. So I figured it probably would work. So I definitely wanted to include them in my kit. Now I will link a couple of those ready-made kits down in the description box in case you're interested in just buying a kit already made. I really like making my own kits, but also I feel like I didn't necessarily save money buying all the things separately because I bought big bulk packages of things, but now I have a lot of extras that I can use in my other first aid kits and putting together multiple kits like this. You know, I bought a whole big bulk package of the cold packs, for example. I bought a whole big bulk package of the cooling patches, all that kind of things I bought in bulk. So I have a lot more to use other places. But so I included the instant cold packs. And then next to these, I did include some emergency water pouches. I've got 5 of these in here. Like I said, this is just for a dire emergency. Everyone should always be carrying their own emergency water, but if you come across someone who is dehydrated and you don't have any water, this will have to do. You could also use this water to wet the cooling towels, anything else that you needed to. And then the final item that I included in this kit is this thermal emergency blanket. This is a little bit different, a little bit more heavy duty than the Mylar blankets that you might find, just a little bit. And this has this thermosafe technology, it says, and basically you could use this in an emergency. If you were too cold, you could use it to conserve your body heat, but you could also use this the other way around and use it to reflect heat away from someone who's getting overheated. So I thought that this would be a good addition to this kit. One more item that I wanted to share that I think would be awesome to have if you were in an extreme heat wave without power is this battery-operated misting fan by Geek Air. We haven't tried this ourselves yet because it's a bit more of an expensive item, and like I mentioned, living in Maine, we don't deal with the extreme heat as much as some others do. But this really looks like it would be an awesome thing to have during a grid down heat emergency, or even just if you were camping somewhere hot. The fan is powered by a rechargeable battery, and you can actually buy extra batteries to have more charged batteries on hand to swap out. The water goes right in the tank at the base of the fan. It has some really good reviews. This is definitely on our wish list. So some takeaways from this video: be prepared for the heat and the possibility of power loss this summer by having plenty of water, both for drinking and extra water that can be used for cooling purposes. If you have some idea that a power outage may be coming, fill anything you can with water: your bathtub, a laundry sink, dish pans, whatever you have. Have plenty of buckets as well. I saw someone who just recently had been through this exact situation and was sharing what she had learned and what she wished that she had more of. And one thing that she mentioned was buckets. That's one thing I don't tend to think about because we have so many buckets just lying around here that we use for other things. Tons of 5-gallon pails, cleaning buckets, all things like that. But if you don't tend to stock things like that, maybe think about adding a few buckets to your preps. Battery-powered fans to use for evaporative cooling, as well as plenty of extra batteries, or a way to charge your rechargeables if you go that route. I also want to mention if your area is having a heat wave or a heat emergency, whether the grid is down or not, but especially if it is. If you have someone that you know in your neighborhood who is elderly or otherwise more susceptible, go check in on them and see if they're doing okay. Maybe bring them an extra gallon of water and some supplies, or better yet, if it's within your means, put together a care package ahead of time and bring it over. Around 80% of those who die from heat-related causes are over 60. By a similar token, as many as half of those who die from extreme heat are homeless. Now, obviously, there's a lot of overlap in those two statistics. But if you have a homeless population in your area, maybe include some of these items in a blessing bag. There's so much focus in the preparedness community on protecting what we have from others. But what I really see whenever there's a real catastrophe, disaster, or emergency of any sort are people coming together to help one another. And those are the kinds of stories that stick with me. Because really, at the end of the day, if we can't help someone else, why are we even here? I hope you enjoyed this video and found some useful tidbits of information and maybe got some motivation to make sure that you're prepared in case the grid goes down for any reason during the extreme heat of summer. It could save your life or someone else's. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget that thumbs up and maybe share the video to maybe help someone else out. If you have any tips or ideas of your own, please be sure to leave them down in the comments so that we can all continue to learn and grow our skills. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave me a thermometer emoji down in the comments. Stay cool, everyone. I'm Jara with Wicked Prepared. Survive today, thrive tomorrow. We'll see you next time.